like last year.
Yeah. So as far as I'm,
That's like a $500,000 project. It's not
Still close. All right,
I just
over to you.
think they should be coming. And this, I believe, the government should.
Very well, I-
make.
Well, it's really full school in terms of government.
Yeah,
Ready to go?
just at your disposal.
Hate to interrupt you. So welcome, members of the public and very few committee members that are here. So nice to see you. This meeting is being held in the supper room, the Waihinga Centre of Martinborough Town Hall, being live streamed and will be available to view on SWC's YouTube channel. The emergency exits for this room are the door you came in and the exit behind me. If we need to evacuate the building, use one of the exits and assemble outside by the playground. Please remain at the assembly area until the building has been confirmed clear. Open the meeting with kia ora te marino, kia whakapapa punamo te moana. Hei huari hi mā tātou I te rangi nei, aroha atu, aroha mai, tātou I tātou katoa, hui e, tā kia. We have apologies from Councillor Macaulay and Councillor Olds, and I believe Narita is joining later on, possibly at this stage. Is there anybody else? I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's those two. What do you want to accept the apologies? You do. Do that, yes, ma'am. Your worship, would you second that?
I do.
Thank you. All those in favour, please say
Aye.
aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Any conflicts of interest to declare? Your worship.
For a two, I am a member of the Featherston Memorial RSA. And I cannot see it there. I think there's an application from the Greytown Men's Shed.
There is, yes.
And I'm a member of that also.
Thank you.
And when decisions have been made about those, I won't be sitting at the table.
Vote Stevens. Okay, thank you. Nikki, why do we confirm the speaking schedule? We've had some changes to that, I believe.
We've just had, I don't think the Community Network Squad is going to make it, and I've had a cancellation from Sheree Poynton, Wairata's Sports Artificial Surface turf in this first lot.
Okay, cool.
But Amanda is here and Robbie is here.
Right. Amanda, you think that's you at the front? So then there's Robbie behind?
Yep.
Well, thank you.
We also have Michael Wilson, I think, online. Michael, are you there? Sorry for you.
Yes, all right. Michael, can you hear us? Yeah.
Wasn't like before. Yep. Can see him.
Which is, okay, terrific. Okay. We'll move on to the applicants' presentations. Just to remind committee members to approach the hearings with an open mind and take into account all written and oral applications. That we are here to listen. We're not to engage in debate with applicants or offer solutions, but we can ask questions to clarify their presentation. When you guys come up, can you please state your name so we have a record of who is presenting? And just remind the applicants that councillors have read your written applications. We have copies in front of us. You are to speak in support of your application. It's an opportunity to expand on your application and focus on key points. You have 5 minutes. It includes time for questions, which is 3 to 4 minutes for your presentation with 1 to 2 minutes for questions from the committee. And we will give you a reminder about the 3-minute mark. And a reminder this meeting is being live streamed as well. Right. Any questions? No, we're all quite clear on that. Terrific. Then we shall move on straight away with Amanda. I go and sit at the table with you. Yes.
You want me to time?
Would you mind? Yeah, repeat that? Yeah. And would you make a noise or do you just say something or you
I'll raise my hand.
raise your hand?
Yeah, I'll give you the.
Do you want me to just go here?
Yeah, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, well, it seems silly sitting down.
It does seem like a long way away, yeah.
Yeah. No, you go. So I'm Amanda Taylor and I'm here to talk about the House of Science Wairarapa and what we do. So we provide hands-on bilingual science resources to local primary schools in the South Wairarapa. And we also do this to Carterton and Masterton as well. And we do this through a library-like system. And we want to make sure that science learning opportunities are available to all Wairarapa tamariki, no matter what school they attend. And we all know science is a resource-heavy subject, which is often lacking in primary schools. And so the way that we work is we maintain a science library of science kits. Right, I've got one that's really heavy, so I won't. So that one's on volcanoes. And you can have a look if you want, so I brought it in. And that allows the schools to provide their students with hands-on science experiments, so everything in the kit. All the science kits align with the New Zealand curriculum, and the idea is to increase students' engagement and understanding, as well as supporting the teachers, because we all know that the teachers need support. So the teachers will book a science kit around a theme that they want. So we're now up to 36 different themed kits in our library, all on different, like from agriculture to physics to chemistry to soil testing to water testing. So it's trying to encompass everything. And they spend the fortnight doing the hands-on activities. So it goes to the school for the fortnight and they can do with it what they want. So the idea is that the teacher uses the kit. We don't go in. It's all about providing a wraparound service to the teachers. Each science kit contains at least 5 activities, 5 different things, but some of them have up to 8 or 9 or even 10 different activities they can move on for the fortnight. We get them the kits to the school by volunteers. So whether it's local people from the community or some of the schools like Piranoa, I've got a relationship with her and she lives in Greytown and I drop it at her house and she drives it out when she goes out to school. So we have kind of a workaround to get it out to the rural schools that we have in the South Wairarapa. And then we bring them back in and then I have a group of volunteers that help me and we go through all the kit, we check all the bits of there, we put in any consumables that have been used and then it goes out to another school. So the idea is to not waste as many, you don't have one microscope for every school, you have one microscope and you share it around all of them. So for those that are old enough, it's a much souped up version of what we had at REAP when I was at school, when you used to go and hire a microscope from REAP for the week. A recent Education Review Office noted that the House of Science kits were a really good way of getting science engagement in primary schools. This year we have 6 South Wairarapa schools and we started off just being primary and intermediates, but this is the first year we've gone into Kiranui with the Learning Support Centre. So to help, they've got quite a few students in there that really benefit from it and they're loving it there. So that means that over 900 children and teachers from the South Wairarapa are getting 3 minutes. So yeah, and this year already we average about 4 kits out every fortnight to different schools. So we've got 6 schools. So not all of them use them every fortnight, but we're generally having about 4 kits going out every fortnight. And that's it. So thank you for taking the time to listen and any questions.
If I understand the numbers correctly, your overall budget is 104,000.
Yeah.
Of which schools contribute less than 25%. Can I have an understanding of why the schools are contributing such a small amount, please?
Because they don't have it in their budget. So they don't have a specific budget for science. So they have to find the money from somewhere. And most schools can't, especially some of the smaller rural schools. So the idea is that it's basically 10% of what it would cost if they were trying to do it themselves. So if they were trying to get all the resources for their school, the idea is to keep it to a minimum so that it's not taking it away from those smaller rural schools like we have in the South Wairarapa, because they don't have the budget for like some of them. And then when you compare it to schools like MIS and Masterton, who have a whole science lab room, our schools here are full primary schools in the South Wairarapa, and so they have to do that all themselves. They're not set up for what some of the other schools are.
And my other question is that you have applied for $5,000 from this council. If the council declines, what is it that your program misses out on?
it makes it harder to keep the resources and the consumables going and to pay for the petrol for our volunteers to get out to the rural schools and things like that. So yeah, it does make it harder for us to manage the rural schools in the South Wairarapa.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming, Amanda. Great little project you're involved with. So I've got a couple of questions. You say six schools in the South Wairarapa?
Yep.
So there's actually 7 primary schools and Kuranui. So which ones don't you go to?
South Featherston, so they're small and they tend to opt in depending on the years. So some years they're in and then they have a year off or a couple of years off and then they opt back in because they're so small and they've only got, I think it's 3 teachers there. And South Featherston, St. Teresa's, it's the other one, South Featherston and St. Teresa's, because there's actually 8 if you include Kuranui. And St. Teresa's have just had a new principal change, and so I'm going to try and talk to her about it because she apparently has used it over when she comes from the hut, and they're big in the hut, and she's apparently used them over there and is quite keen. So I will be giving.
Cool, thanks. The other thing I see with all your funding, it says your projected costs are 104,000. With all your funding, you're already at over 107. So you're almost 3K above your projected costs. Now, in the last year, Masterton, who I presume run about 15 schools, which is 53% of it, only give you 2,500. Carlton gave you 3,000 with similar schools to us. What was the how do you come to the figure that you're asking? Is there any?
So it's basically, it's that Masterton actually, so they gave 3 this year, but their council has a policy that they don't fund education. So they've funded us through the environmental route. So that's where that funding comes from. And they don't fund it because they actually fund because of Masterton Trustlands Trust. So if you see Masterton's Trustlands Trust do the education and they give us 10,000. So we're actually getting 13 from them. And Carterton District Council come from, when I spoke with them, they're quite keen on actually funding a kit. So they like funding a kit, which is 2,500 plus consumables. So that's where their 3,000 comes from. But previously, South Wairarapa have been very open to actually helping with operational costs, which includes like our vehicle transport of getting out to the schools and stuff like that, which is actually really beneficial because a lot of grants don't fund operational costs, they fund things.
Yeah.
And so having operational costs means you can pay for your volunteers' vehicles, reimburse the fuel and things like that. So that's why we're.
So you usually go through Masterton Trustlands Trust. Have you tried the Greyhound Trust? I don't have any Greyhound Trustlands.
No, because I wasn't sure how it would go because it's just one school, right? It's not the whole South, how they would feel about funding just Greytown, because I know they give Greytown School a lot of money. You do you know what I mean? Like that as part of the way that they fund, they give the school quite a lot of money as well. And I thought that it would be a little bit like double dipping because you're just asking for one school from a school that's already getting money from that funder. Sorry.
Oh, that's cool. No, thanks for it.
All good. Excellent. Thank you very much, Amanda.
Thank you.
Michael, you're next. Michael Wilson, are you there? Access Radio.
It took me a while to unmute myself. Sorry. Yes, I'm here.
Great.
Hi. Well, look, thank you very much. Look, we've had a relationship.
Sorry, Michael, just to
Oh,
tell
right.
you before you start, mate, can you put your camera on?
Oh, I thought I had. Let me see. It's not allowing me to do that. There we go. There we go. That
Kia ora.
makes the experience so much better.
Michael, you're familiar with the rules we've outlined already? 5 minutes, of which
Yep.
includes question times. And Amy will raise a hand and make a noise when you're at the 3-minute mark.
Right, great. Well, I won't waste a lot of time because, we have had a relationship with you for a number of years. So I'm going to presume some familiarity with what we do. Unlike most of the other access stations in Aotearoa, we provide a mobile recording service to ensure that communities aren't disadvantaged by their remoteness from our studios, and this has been working really well. We'd like to encourage council to use us to promote your services and events, public notices, anything really, and we'd be happy to meet with the relevant people to achieve this. We'd also like some help perhaps to identify more needful groups in your district who can then use us to share their cultures, inform the public, promote their events. And we'd particularly like to meet with new migrant groups and local iwi. We're committed to Te Reo me te tikanga Māori, and we want to involve South Wairarapa iwi with regular program exposure. So we'd appreciate if council can support us in putting us in touch with the appropriate people. We know times are tough, money is tight, but we ask that you consider that we've been committed for many years to providing our service to your and all the diverse communities of your district, and we will continue that commitment even with meagre resources. I think we achieve a lot with a little, and we're asking you to consider that lot, that range of services we deliver in nooks and crannies throughout the district, and find all that you can so that we don't have to say no to anybody, any deserving group or individual. Not that we would say no, of course, but we'd have to tailor exactly how we do it. And you know what we do, programs from our schools, different cultures, disability groups, artists, musicians, everybody who wants to be involved. So I'll just leave it at that and answer any questions. Kia ora.
Thanks, Michael. Gentlemen, any questions for Michael? Your Worship?
Yes, my question is the same that I asked the previous person, which is if the council declines your application, what is it that does not happen?
It's more a matter of exactly how we go about it, because we are committed to the whole region. There's no way that we'd stop providing a service, but the thoroughness of that service would be affected. We get our funding from lots of different sources and somehow manage to add that up to cover our budget. But the smallest thing can tip the balance. And our desire, this is an expensive part of what we do because it involves a lot of travel, it involves a lot of time moving around the district, etc. We will continue to do what we can, but some of the developments that we want to make with local iwi, new migrants, new program makers, and assisting council with any promotion would be perhaps affected.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Aaron here. I've noticed you've had quite a significant rise in your expenses in the last year, which is sort of understandable with the way the economy's gone. What would most of those cost rises come through?
We're depending more and more on our internet, on technical matters. Also, increase is in the wage of our program coordinator. She's fairly new. We've had her for 2 years now, and she's what really allows us to be able to do everything down in the south. So those would be the significant ones. All the basic things go up, you know, rent, electricity, tech maintenance, etc. So it's just that gradual thing. And our major funder, New Zealand On Air, doesn't do cost of living increases. So we get the equivalent of a cut every year until such time as they decide to change that, which is not looking likely.
Thank you very much for that. That's all I've got to ask. Thanks for your time.
And my question is, so how do you measure your I guess your milestones, your markers for success and what you're trying to achieve, and how do you get that feedback back from what your audience base is, etc.?
Yeah, it's a tricky one when you come to your audience are largely silent. They do get back in touch with us. Most of the feedback comes back to the individual program makers because each one has their own kind of dedicated audience. We I write a quarterly report to New Zealand On Air, and it is the fact of our existence that the need exists. New Zealand On Air, and it wouldn't be in New Zealand legislation, which it is under Section 36E of the Broadcasting Act, if that need hadn't been identified, and access stations are the only ones fulfilling that need. We do all we can to get informal feedback, and we do get statistics from our internet-based listeners via the National Access Hub, and we're improving every year. But we're most of all committed to the local audience, and the local audience are difficult to get specific stats from. But we do get, I don't know, letters of support, phone calls, emails, and then direct things to the program makers themselves.
Great. Thank you very much. That sounds like 5 minutes.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay, thanks very much, Michael. Much appreciated. Thanks for your time.
Kia ora, thank you.
Okay, Danny Sargent. Danny's in the room? No? Robbie, you're here, aren't you? Yeah, you want to come up and grab a seat, mate? Any need to recap the rules, Robbie? You're quite clear on. Yep. Right. Okay, Robbie.
So yeah, Robbie Taylor from the Featherston RSA. I'm not going to go much into the application. I think it speaks for itself, but I'll just highlight a few things.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, the meter at the tail was, we wait for the meter to come back.
Oh,
Sorry.
thanks. She didn't want
Well, you don't have one.
to.
We don't have quorum, he has to still sit here, yeah.
I don't know how it works.
So, excuse me, your worship.
Maybe you.
Yeah,
I don't know how this works then if you don't have a forum, whether you're going to be able to actually discuss it.
sorry, yeah, sorry,
So we should have. just-
sorry, Robbie, yeah, it's all right. We didn't realise there was going to be a conflict. Bear with us.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a third member here.
Hold on, Martin.
Hang on,
Martin,
worship,
hold on.
let's see. What's the?
Sorry, just.
We're just noting we've lost forum.
We're just like, with you leaving, we lost the quorum.
And the reader isn't here.
Wondering what we might need to do. Would you be willing to sit in on the meeting, noting the conflict, and that maintains forum?
Yes.
Sorry.
I understand.
Thank you.
I'll check with the radio and see if she can.
Yeah, that would be great.
The latte might have to wait. Okay, so Robbie, thanks for your patience while we sorted that out. Go.
All right, so the Featherston RSA building is important for the community. It's a very unique building in the fact that it's a large building, one of the few large buildings in Featherston that also has catering for people. So if they have their community group meetings, they can get a bowl of chips, they can have a drink or whatever, they can have their quiz nights and all these sorts of things. So it's a very useful building in the community. Also, it is houses a lot of our memorabilia and from the wars. People donate their family memorabilia, and it's all over our walls if you've ever been there. And that's important, I think, for a military town such as Featherston. But it's an ageing building, and it's a huge task on us as committee members, as volunteers. You know, a lot of standing outside the supermarket fundraising or selling raffles. So that's why we're applying for this. We've done a lot in terms of our own fundraising over the last few years, 200% increase. And we are applying for multiple grants to speed up the process. And just an update, since I wrote this application, we have been accepted the Trust House application for $8,664 to go towards our heat pumps, and they are being installed very soon. I've also had measurements for upgrading our back doors and windows for double glazing, and I'm awaiting quotes on those. But realistically, this project, in terms of heating sources, in terms of improving our glazing, insulation, it's a project in the tens of thousands, and we are committed to it. But I think something like this and other grants are going to help speed that up and make it comfortable for the community. So You know, if they come in winter, if they're not going to get too cold, if they come in summer, they're going to be fine, not too hot. So that's going to make a big difference to us. Thank you.
Right. Woody, any questions?
Thanks for coming on. Love the RSA and what it sort of stands for. In your application, you actually quoted, you got, it covers the 3 wellbeings. I'd actually argue that it covers all 4. I'd argue it would cover the economic as well, just for future reference. So you're looking for 15,000 is what you're asking for. And I noticed last time you asked us for a grant, you actually returned the money because the project never went ahead. Have you got more clarification on that?
So what happened there is a previous committee put in a grant for $5,000 to replace the roof. With further advice on that, we were told that we don't actually need to replace it, that a fix would do the job. And because we applied for a replace rather than a fix, we returned the money rather than using it for that.
And the roof's held up, the fix is on the job.
Fix now, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So have you been to the community board for a grant?
Yes, yeah, Featherston Community Board, yeah.
Can I ask how much you?
$500.
Which is a standard thing. Yeah. That's all I've got to ask you. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Woody. This is like a repairs and maintenance grant or request, right? What avenues are available to you through the RSA organisation itself?
There are no, from the central body of the RSA, there are no avenues for things like this, for repairs of the buildings. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
So it's all on us as a local group to do it.
Yeah. It seems a bit wrong. Okay. And you said there's obviously a number of different groups that are using it as well, and they're charged a fee. I mean, do you raise funds for so that so it's free for them to use as community groups and other things like that? So would it be a possibility to start charging them for that?
I think I would have to discuss with the committee, but I think it's important that people can come in freely. It is, you know, a place where there is memorabilia, and I think having people come in regularly, we get membership from that, and that people do pay for that. So I think that's important, and we get money in that respect. But I think for using it for community groups, I think possibly too much. I would say, but it's something we could consider. Yeah,
I'll just think of other revenue avenues that might be open to you. Okay. Anything else you want to add, or?
No, I just think it's really great how the community use it for encourages people to use the place.
Cool. Thanks for your time, Robbie. That's brilliant.
thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you for your patience as well. Sherry is not here, and sorry, Jorge. Is that how we say it? Jorge. How do we say your name, George?
Turn your microphone on.
Your microphone's off, mate.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear now.
Yeah, good. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Obviously,
How do we say your name? Is it Jorge? Or how do we say your name?
well, my name is Jorge.
Jorge, that's
Jorge.
right.
For English people, it's very difficult to pronounce the R. So I've been called a lot of names, but the best one so far is George.
Jorge, you've heard how this works. You've got 5 minutes total, which includes question time. So Amy will give you a call at about, you're on to book 2. Amy will give you a sign when you're at about the 3-minute mark if you start run over that. Floor is yours.
Okay, well, I won't take too long because I'm pretty sure you all know about the International Cycle Classic. The New Zealand Cycle Classic is the only international event in Wairarapa. Okay, it's the only international event that is televised, not just to New Zealand, but to countries around the world. So we put the Wairarapa on the world stage, finishing in Martinborough every year, attracts hundreds of people who are there for the whole day, drinking coffee, eating food, and come and watch the riders. The riders love the circuit, and we try to show on our television coverage as much as possible of the vineyards, the little shoppings around the square, and the square itself. So we do promote Wairarapa as well as Masterton, Featherston, and every other little town around the region. The rice is going through changes at the moment. It's growing and getting bigger. As you know, after the pandemic, all our providers for anything double the price and everything, and we are no different. Air traffic management is the most expensive cost in the rice, as well as the accommodation. Closing properly and safely the circuit in Martinborough costs us a lot of money, not just with the traffic management, but employing motorcycle riders and stationary marshals to ensure the safety of the riders and the residents. Ambulances, hotels, doctors, everything is going up in price. So, and that's the reason why we are appealing to all local authorities in the Wairarapa to support us financially, because the event is going through changes, and one of the biggest changes this year, for the first time in 24 years, Trust House cannot sponsor us anymore. So we had to go and get a new sponsor. We got a sponsor for next year, which is Sport New Zealand, which is a government department. And we're trying to do our best. Right now, I got 8 overseas teams from America, Europe, Asia, Australia, of course, and New Zealand in the race, plus about 9 New Zealand domestic teams. It's going to be a huge race. Next year is the 37th year of the event. And like I say, you can see by the photos in Martinborough every year, the crowds get bigger and bigger, and the residents are waiting for the race every year. So I know the councils don't have lots of money, and everybody wants your money, but councils have to support quality and not quantity. I believe air events is right up there in the Wairarapa and deserve the support. So hopefully we have a favorable answer to our request of financial support with the cycle race next year, which is from the 10th to the 14th of January. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Your worship, you have any questions? No questions, Woody?
No, nothing, just a comment. It's a great event. Thanks very much for putting it on here.
Question for me, Jorge, is how much of the time that here is spent in Martinborough or spent in the Wairarapa itself?
Well, I knew you were going to ask this question. Just to let you know, just the traffic management in Martinborough for the day is about $7,000. But you had to realize that for me to get to Martinborough, I had to ride the 2 days before. So it's all a big package. We had to get 2 ambulances. We had to get motorcycle marshal. We had to get 58 rice officials with the rice just to get to Martinborough. So the cost is not for me, it's just 1 day. It's the whole package over the 5 days, how much it costs. The budget for the whole rice this year, for next year, is about $480,000.
Wow. And you said Trust House are not giving you any money this year?
No, Trust House pull out. According to them, Internal Affairs send them a letter. They cannot provide money for international events, prize money. They cannot give me money, and we had to stay at the hotel, which they own. It's pub money, you know, the money machine money. So it's a lot of regulations they decide to put on to me, and they can support the event for some of those reasons. It's a lot more, but basically that's the reason why they can't support it anymore. But we are grateful for Trust House. They got us to here, you know, for 24, 25 years supporting the event.
Okay, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
No, thank you. Thanks all day, bye. Okay. Carla, I might say Mike Butler. Mike? Is he on the campaign trail?
Yes.
Still wearing blue though. You're going to 202-310. Carla C. Wings over Wairarapa.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mike, you've heard the deal. 5 minutes, 3 minutes to speak, and then
I'll rattle through it.
No,
happy
you're accustomed as you are.
So look, first of all, I guess thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for considering an application, and apologies from Carla. She's had a specialist appointment for one of her kids, so that was more important. Just in terms of our application, I guess, the social wellbeing. We do provide residents with an opportunity to connect with each other, and that's right through the aviation sector, the local business community, and nationally at STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts and maths, in the aviation and education sector. And we certainly aim to build pride and vibrancy or add to that within the region. The economic wellbeing, obviously it's an event that puts the Wairarapa under a pretty big spotlight. And it does attract international visitation as well as a lot of out of region visitation. Incidentally, this year we anticipate attendance of 25 to 30,000 people. And the STEAM day on Friday, we have 5,000 local school children already booked in to attend. We do have a particular focus on retaining supplier spend within the region as best we can, and sort of circa around 70% of the current $1.2 million spend in terms of getting the show to the point of proceeding. And we do have a particular focus as well on creating job and volunteer opportunities for residents within the region. And obviously a lot of the region, that another economic benefit is the accommodation, because there's a large component of the accommodation is in the South Wairarapa as well. So I think that's probably it. It's a couple of minutes, so questions, and apologise in advance if I can't answer the questions.
So, thank you, Mark. Are you seeking funding particularly for the young people's program?
Yeah, I guess under the economic wellbeing and the youth component as well.
So it's called Take Flight, I think.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
And do you recall what attendance figures have been from schools?
Last event, I think we had about 5,000 kids attend, and there's 5,000 booked to attend this time as well.
It's huge.
Oh, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. And the kids really love it.
Well, those kids are coming from just what 5,000 is made up of.
South Wairarapa all the way through the Wairarapa. Yep.
What do you got, any questions?
Yeah, Mike, thanks for coming. Yeah, my boy went to the last one. Yeah, they loved it. Thought it was great. So
Good.
I think it's a great little project you have going to fit in with the whole end event. The whole event on its own is huge and probably the biggest thing sort of we have around here. So yeah, hopefully we can do something for you.
Yeah, I thought it was really great. I mean, I've got no questions to it. It was a really great presentation. Thanks, Mike. So,
yeah,
I'm comfortable. Anything to follow up?
No, thank you very much for your consideration. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
I'll let you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Ray? Ray's not here.
Yeah, but John.
John,
John.
John, you're here. You're here. Grab a seat, John.
So that's guys on.
John, just to recap, councillors have flipped through many pages here to get to the presentation. We have read the application.
Right.
This is an opportunity for you to expand on your application and focus on key points. You have 5 minutes, which includes time for questions. So 3 minutes speaking, 1 to 2 minutes for questions.
Okay.
We won't be entering into like a discussion, just questions for clarity. That kind of thing.
Okay.
We're good?
Okay, I'll quickly bounce.
Amy will give you the sign. It's the 3 minute mark.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we've made an application for a grant, a one-off grant, capital grant of 10K to assist the upgrade of Studio 73. It's only one, God, given a street number, which is owned by Greytown Little Theatre and serves as a more than just a theatre space, as a community space. It's a studio space previously owned by Order of St John, built 6 years ago by the community. We bought it 18 months ago and gave the Order of St John commitment. We'd continue as a community space as well, and this we're doing now. We need to do a major upgrade. Basically, the seismic strengthening needs to be done. We always knew that when we bought it at a price that reflected that.
The strengthening, so in doing the strengthening, that causes a whole range of other things to happen under the Building Act. You really, toilets and other facilities are not up to current standards. We've got no disabled access, accessibility, access to a toilet and things like that. So our plan is to upgrade the studio as it is, manage the strengthening and gut it and build on our section, which is right beside. We have a piece of Greenfields, which is behind the public toilets in Greytown, and build on that. And in doing so, we've put a new foyer in, put the new toilets, kitchenette, all that kind of stuff in, and an additional room that is more useful for a backstage area or could be used for other uses as well. So principally, that's the project. It's about 577K. That's all been QS'd and costed. We've been working with lotteries for a couple of years now on funding from them, and they'll take this application with, it's 2 years within its purchase of the building. So that's all gone into them, work with them, but we've still got to raise funds. Haven't heard from our Trust House funding yet, but we believe that we hopefully will get something from there. And a couple of other ones as well. Doing our own thing. Of course, buying the building was where most of our money went, and doing upgrades, lighting and things like that, which can be used in the new facility, in the upgraded facility. That's the main points with it. There's strong community support. We've got a raft of support from existing users. Our use is mainly daytime, nighttime, maybe weekends. But there's a whole raft of groups that use it during the day, everything from dance exercise classes to Tranby Club one night a month. There's a couple of Tai Chi groups, whatever. And in the past, we've run after school classes and things for kids, drama classes. Okay, thanks. So it's what we're saying is one of the messages to lotteries is that if a local government shows support for a project as well, that sends the right kind of signal. So that's where we're at. Doing our own thing with our own funding as well. We've got a current campaign which is going well.
Excellent. You're in, John. Richard?
Yes, thanks, John. In as much as this is a funding application that would be largely spent within Greytown itself, have you spoken to the Greytown Community Board about funding from that source?
No. I've spoken to some of the one of the board members about the project. They don't have that kind of money available to them though, for this kind of thing, do they?
They have money available.
We have money available. Greytown Community Board has money available now.
Is it 10K?
No, we'd have to apply. That would be over what we're allowed to grant. Amanda, but is it $1,500 we can, anything over that we have to apply?
It's at the discretion of the community through you, Chair. There is 2 pools for the community boards. There is a grants pool, which is around, most people put in applications for around about $500 up to $1,000. That's a smaller pool. And there are some community development funds as well for community boards that can be used on community projects.
Right. No, we haven't, because we're only aware of the smaller amounts which don't fit into this criteria.
It would definitely be worth putting something through to the wider, because there is money there.
Is there?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And if we don't spend it, we're going to lose it.
All right, okay.
Hey.
Oh, well, I'm very happy to
So just looking
write
at
applications. That's
So do you have something to add on that?
I've checked with the finance team, those grants will be rolled, those funds will be rolled over into this year, so we're not losing that money.
No, we're not losing that money? Okay.
No, but it's not good to carry over,
no.
not good practice financially.
We'd rather not be carrying it over, So there is
Rather spend it.
efficiency there. What did you have us?
No, I'll just, once again, great what you guys do.
Yeah, I agree.
Great presentation on that. Thanks very much.
Yeah. No, I think it's a valuable asset for not just Greytown, for South Wairakei.
Yeah. And one of the things to remember is it's not we're not putting fixed seating or anything like that. It stays open spaces. That's why it becomes community space. When we have to do something, we set our own seating structures and things up.
Yeah, I think Greytown in particular does seem starved of venue spaces.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it's not a criticism of the council, but the town centre is a bigger facility and it's more costly for people and these groups, you know, cost is an important thing and the rents are modest, very modest.
Terrific.
All right.
Thanks, you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Gentlemen, Narita has joined us online as well, so we now have Price here.
Yeah, Luke.
Oh, Luke.
Yeah.
Is online or is he?
Luke, he's here.
Oh, Luke,
Yeah.
hi, Luke. So jumping back, gentlemen, to Youthline, which is the. Luke, come and grab a seat up here, mate. Yeah, just grab a seat, yeah, just nice and close.
Sure, just sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds good to you. Luke, just to recap, we've read your application. We've got copies in front of us. I'm just going to get to it.
Fantastic.
Thank you. So I think, where are we? Before your application, expand on it, focus on key points. You have 5 minutes total, which includes 1 or 2 minutes of question time. So I speak for about 3 minutes.
Sure.
Amy next to me will raise her hand or give you a signal when you're at the 3-minute mark.
Sure.
It's, you know, we're not exactly ruthless about it.
Conscious that I'm a couple minutes late getting here, so we still have 5 minutes talking time.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'll take Q&A after that.
Okay. And the final thing is this meeting is being live streamed.
Perfect.
Okay.
Great.
We have Councillor Woodcock and the Mayor on the committee, and Narita is for the Māori Standing Committee is online as well.
Cool.
Okay, shoot.
Kia ora tātou. Kia ora rangatira. Thank you for all of your service to South Wairarapa. I think it's a very exciting time to be in youth work. I'm not here to paint a bleak picture of youth mental health concerns. I'm here to talk about a very exciting time in my work in Kuranui College and also in the primary schools that are feeding into Kuranui next year. I'm not going to state the obvious. We've been through a few difficult years. This is a COVID generation of young people that have gone through learning from home and disruptions to learning. But I'm very excited for the young people that we are empowering to become young leaders in their own right. The Youthline team that I'm building has been here for 6 months. I am looking to build a team with a very high standard of youth work. We, at the moment, are focused on transition to college. So years 7 and 8s, making sure that they are looked after, they are self-aware, and they also know how to look for help as they move into a large college like Kuranui. We are also focused on primary schools, South Wairarapa that feed into Kuranui. We've generously been given a car, which I use a lot, and I travel from my office in Masterton south just about every single day that I'm working. I'm capped at about 15 hours a week, and I make full use of 15 hours. Try not to travel too much, but I am very focused on this end of the valley because a lot of the youth NGOs that we have that are amazing are based around Masterton. And so I am looking to meet the needs at this end of the valley, and Shane and my peanut Sarah backing me up on that we are unapologetic that we have the car, we drive south. That's what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah, I'm looking to grow the team, and it's an exciting time to do that. I've been around youth work for about 15 years. I've done youth development and leadership development for the Defence Force. A few years ago now, I've been working in high schools the last 4 years on a contract basis for changeability on health relationships, consent, education, and health relationships, that sort of thing. But this program, Standing Tall, that we deliver in schools is about young people, helping young people and developing leaders, empowering them, making them contributing citizens, all that good stuff. Yes, we initially given a cohort of young people, for example, year 9s that are finding their feet, that are struggling with their mental health, their well-being, getting a sense of all the things they're juggling with, but we see incredible potential in them. We know there's not enough counsellors, we know there's certainly not enough youth workers, there's not enough social workers, but we do know there are plenty of young people, if given the right amount of support and encouragement, can then support their friend circle. So that's my pitch. And that's 3 minutes. So there's nothing else I can say, but it is an exciting time to be a youth worker. And I'm here to bring positive vibes. So thank you for the opportunity to bring that.
Thanks very much, Luke.
Your worship. Yes, sorry. So I think if I recall correctly, you are asking for $5,000 from this council.
Yes, that's correct.
And if the council declined, what is it? Which part of your program does not take place?
Well, we will have to be limited to having only 1 or 2 schools because we won't have enough youth workers. We won't have the capacity. Yeah. So at the moment, I'm limited to just working with 1 group at Karanui and 1 group at another primary school in the same vicinity. Just not giving specifics here. Yeah, more funding equals more youth workers. Yeah, basically. And that gives us more capacity to deliver another program at, say, a primary school. So that's where we're looking to grow, is going into Kawitato and Pirinoa. But we need youth workers to do that, to deploy there and send them out. Yeah.
Yep, thanks for coming along, Luke. I see here that the Master Council, Trustees Trust and Trustee Hospital based.
Yeah.
You know, the bulk of your funding, like $73,000 a year. I think Carter can give a smaller thing similar to what you're asking us. Is there any course of government funding that you guys get? Do you get any?
We don't get any government funding. So I'm adamant about community funded solutions for the community. That's my kaupapa. Youthline is not government funded. My colleagues at Central North Island HQ in Palmerston North that I operate under, I'm basically the Wairarapa outpost. So I wanted to set up a team here of equal, if not bigger size than Palmy, to meet our valley. They travel a lot. They do have contracts with corrections and Oranga Tamariki and with Te Whatu Water. But the organisation itself is not government funded. So we are funded by the community, grants, boards, such and such. Yeah.
Yep. That's awesome. It's all
yeah.
The work you guys do is pretty amazing. So yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Willie. But you talk about growing your team.
Yeah.
And this is obviously this 5,000 is towards doing that. What is the team? How is that done? Who makes up that?
So at the moment, it's myself and an interim team member. Unfortunately, we've had to let someone go who didn't meet that standard of youth work, that the requirements of the role. So we've had to let them go. And I'm now training up an interim replacement. So it's myself and another young lady who's a social work third-year student. And we are going through the hiring process at the moment. So we'll be advertising for potentially 1 to 2 youth workers, depending on funding. And that will allow me to operate more in the team lead role and have the 2 youth workers going out into the schools and continuing the programs. So I'm basically setting up the programs, setting up the foundation at the schools and targeted to South Wairarapa, so that, yeah, we can then, I can sort of step back and really mentor and train up the youth workers. Yeah, so that's kind of the strategy going forward.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. Any other questions, John? Terrific.
Yeah. Thanks, Luke.
Oh, Narita, have you got any questions?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Okay.
Oh,
beautiful.
That sound came across all right, but yeah, I better crack on.
Yeah, no, good. Let's have live.
Well, yeah, the kids are all right, I'm gonna say. They're all good. They're awesome to work with. It's a privilege. Thank you.
So we've gone through.
Yeah.
I can go and Billy, or I can start running this afternoon.
No, that's all right. So we've moved through quite quickly. So we can,
For us.
yeah, no, but we're on fire. So we could adjourn now, make a break, and we can all have meetings from the office. I'm Personal Development Club. Is that we can adjourn now and we could ring people and say, come in earlier, or just leave it as it is this afternoon?
So I'll go, there's some lunch ordered.
Lunch is ordered for pickup at 11.
Yeah, I can go down in a few minutes and see if it's early, get some lunch.
And resume as
And
planned.
then you can either resume as planned, or I'm happy to call Liz and see if it can come in a bit earlier.
So I'll resume, I think we.
How many more of them are coming in?
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're about halfway through.
7, 8 have confirmed that they're coming in.
So we're due to resume at 12:30, so 6-day plan, finish early.
Yep.
Let's do it, great, let's adjourn, and we'll see you back here at 12:30. Well, 12:20, 12:25 or something. No, sorry, Amanda.
Do you want to check Narita's clear about that?
Yeah. Narita, we've moved quite quickly through, right, kia ora. We've moved quite quickly through it, so we're going to adjourn now and sort of finish for the morning. And then back at 12:25 to resume at 12:30. Does that work for you?
No problem.